My name is Joe Peroni, and this is the Rise Above Project. And today I want to talk about the Adult Hope Scale, also known as the Future Scale. Why is this important? It's important because having high hope is correlated to better outcomes in relationships, academics, sports, psychological health, physical health, and emotional health. On the other hand, having high to moderate to even low hopelessness correlates to adverse physical and mental health outcomes, such as even heart disease, cancer, depression, and suicide. This particular scale is going to measure two major things. Number one, agency, which is also another way to say willpower or goal-directed energy. And the second scale is going to measure pathways. We can say it another way, we could say waypower. So agency is willpower, pathways is waypower. Waypower, we can also say it as a person who can plan to accomplish their goals. A test like this is very important for people that may have faced a very grief-inducing situation. It's also used by very progressive, I would say, or doctors who are up on the latest information. They've used this test for people who have been diagnosed with cancer. And so what they can do is they can help their client from a multi-perspective, such as they can get them help if they have a hopelessness type of attitude. And so if we can adjust their hopelessness into being a hopeful type of person, we can increase or have a better outcome physically. So what I want to do is I want to go over the scale, and I'm going to take it with you. So you might have to start and stop this show a little bit just to keep up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over this 12 questions. Now, 4 of them are filler questions that actually have nothing to do with the test. They're not scored, but they put them in here anyway. So the first part of the test is going to measure agency, or again, willpower. So let's go over those questions. And again, keep up with me. You can write this down if you want to keep up. Write on one section, agency. There's going to be 4 questions, so therefore there'll be 4 answers. And on the other side of the paper, you can write pathways or waypower, and there'll be 4 questions there. And we're going to add up all of those. Starting with question number 1 for agency or willpower. I energetically pursue my goals. Now, the scoring works from 1 through 8, 1 meaning definitely false, all the way through mostly false, somewhat false, slightly true, somewhat true, mostly true, and definitely true. So slightly false would be 1, and then the numbers move all the way up to definitely true, which would be an 8. So again, with this question, I energetically pursue my goals. I would say that's definitely true for me. And so I would give myself an 8 for that question. Number 2 on the willpower questions. My past experiences have prepared me well for my future. And here I would answer mostly true, that would be a 7. The reason why I don't give myself an 8 is because I think my past experiences have prepared me well for my future, but I definitely have a fear of dying, and I don't think anything in my past will prepare me for that. So I can't give myself an 8, I'll give myself a 7. Question number 3 on willpower. I've been pretty successful in life. I'd like to say definitely true, but I don't believe that. I'm trying to be realistic, so I'll give myself a 7 and say mostly true, but there are many things that I haven't accomplished that I wish I did, or I'm still in the process of trying to accomplish. Question number 4 in willpower. I meet the goals that I set for myself. And again, most of the time that's true. I haven't reached everything, so I'm going to give myself a 7, which is mostly true. If you score those 4 for you, I'll score for myself. For me, I scored a 29. So write that number down for you. The range here, of course, would be from 4 to 32. A perfect score would be 32. Let's move on to pathways or waypower questions. I can think of many ways to get out of a jam. I believe for me that's mostly true, or actually definitely true. There's a lot of ways. If I can't find one way, I'll do it another way. If I can't go around to the right, I'll go around to the left. I'll go over, under, through. I'll figure it out. If there's something I really want, there's no way I'll give up. I'll keep figuring it out one way or another. So yes, I definitely believe that's true for me. Number 2 on the waypower questions. There are lots of ways around any problem. Again, I'm going to put mostly true or definitely true. And as you can see, all these questions are basically asked slightly different ways, but they all mean the same thing. Question number 3 in waypower is, I can think of many ways to get the things in life that are important to me. Again, very similar question here. So of course, I'm going to answer it in a similar way. And I'm going to give myself a 7. So I believe that that is mostly true. Question number 4 on waypower is, even when others get discouraged, I know I can find a way to solve the problem. And on that, I give myself an 8. Most of the people around me throughout my life, I could see that they did not know how to solve their problems, and I didn't want to be like that. So I really went out of my way to try to make or to solve problems and look for solutions to those problems. And I think that's just the way I live naturally. So again, I'll give myself an 8 on that. So as I add those up, and those 4, add those 4 up for yourself. For me, again, the top range you can get is 32. I got a 31. So if you add up the first 4 questions and the next 4, you should get your total score. My score is a 60. So let's take a look at that. Scores of 40 to 48 would mean that you're hopeful. 48 to 56 means you are moderately hopeful. And 56 or higher means you're a person who has high hope. Me, I have a 60, and that would put me in the high hope range. Now, moving on to the fillers, because I think the fillers are very interesting. The fillers, there's 4 fillers here. Let's do the first one. I feel tired most of the time. I thought this was a really interesting question because being that it's a hope scale, or it's also known as a future scale, I was already worried because I do feel tired a lot. I get up consistently somewhere between 3:45 to 4:45 every day, and sometimes I work pretty late. And yeah, I'm tired a lot. So I thought, well, how is that going to affect my hope score or my future score? I thought it would be very detrimental. But according to this, you can have high hope and still be tired. Who knew? So that doesn't matter. So if you're tired, you can still feel good about your future. Maybe it means you're working overtime or you're trying to work really hard to solve your problems. Second filler question. I am easily downed in an argument. I'm going to be honest here. I looked this up to see what it actually meant because I'm not sure what that means. I am easily downed in an argument. I didn't know if that meant that if I have an argument with somebody, it's easy for them to win the argument over me, which would make somebody feel bad or me feel bad, or if it meant that if I got into an argument with somebody, I felt bad about it. I didn't know how to answer that. So it's a good thing it's a filler and the question doesn't matter for this test. But on that one, I gave myself a 5, which would be slightly true. Again, you can answer it the way you want, and it doesn't really matter with the score anyway. The next one in the filler questions. I worry about my health. Now, this is interesting because on this one, I put mostly true. And I was already getting a little nervous, like I'm going to fail this test because I'm definitely worried about my health. That's why I work out every day. That's why I eat well every day. I think being worried about my health is good. It's important because if I didn't worry about it, I probably wouldn't do anything to make it better. But lo and behold, that question has nothing to do with this test. So you can be worried about your health and say that that's definitely true, and you could still be a person who has high hope and a good future. Continuing, next filler question is, I usually find myself worrying about something. On this question, again, I put mostly true, and I thought that this is going to be also bad for a hope scale. But again, it doesn't matter. So again, I do find myself worrying about something most of the time. I do find myself worrying about things that are not even broken. In other words, I look for backup plans just in case something goes wrong so I can fix it even before the problem really happens. So if it becomes a problem, I don't want it to be a problem for too long. Actually, the other day I was thinking about this because I live in Las Vegas. It's about 100 degrees every day. What if something happens to my air conditioning unit here and there's 2 million people in Las Vegas? Everybody's going to want to get their air conditioning unit fixed. I have 3 dogs. I don't want them to be panting all day. It's like abusive. At least I don't know if I could live like that. I would feel really bad. And sometimes it takes a lot of days to get your air conditioning unit fixed. So I was telling myself beforehand, I want to write down some phone numbers of hotels and places around Las Vegas that are pet friendly that I could take my dogs to just in case something happens here. So again, I'm already worrying about the air conditioning unit going out, but it hasn't gone out. And I do this with most everything. I do this with business. I see this today, the interest rates went up. I see a bunch of people complaining. And it's like, well, I've thought about this already. If you have, again, Las Vegas, there's 2 million people here or so, and you have a lot of people with a lot of money to spend, what happens is inflation. So what happens is you have too much money and it's chasing too few goods. So if you have a concert you want to go to and there's 5,000 seats and there's 2 million people with a whole bunch of money, you can't go to a concert here in Las Vegas for like under $200-300. So I was thinking, interest rates go up. Why do they do that? Because they want to take money away from people, right? Like they want to stop people from spending so much. That's actually a good thing, because that same 5,000 seat arena where I want to go to a concert, there's going to be less people with a lot of money, which is good, because then maybe now I could finally go to a concert and not spend a mortgage payment on a concert. So I'm actually looking forward to this. So sometimes when they raise mortgage rates, it's bad. It just depends on where you sit. And sometimes when they raise it, it's good depending on where you sit. So again, I'm always looking for where the problem could be. So I'm already well positioned. So I think being worried about things a lot of times is actually a positive. And I thought, this scale's not going to work out. Lo and behold, it's not part of the scale. You can worry all you want. I'm not saying that that's good for your heart or your stress level or your anxiety. But according to this, it doesn't matter either way if you have high or low hope of how much you worry. That's not part of it. So again, let's go over this really quick. This is the adult hope scale. What we're trying to look for here is if you have agency, optimism, the willpower to do better. Once you have that, do you have pathways or the pathway to look at the ways to improve? And if you get stuck, do you have other ways to try to solve that issue? So those are the 2 issues we're looking at here. Number 1, agency. Number 2, pathways. And as you improve there, again, the chance of depression, anxiety goes down, your physical health will go up. Hopefully this was valuable to you. My name is Joe Prony. This is the Rise Above Project. Please subscribe and tell a friend. Thank you.